Alright, so it's official. It is 2025 and it's now time to take your truly wireless earbuds to the next level in terms of their audio quality with just a couple of good practices that I'm about to show you in today's video. And by the way, if you thought it's just about having some good codec support, it's not. Now, in order to fully understand the wireless audio experience, we first need to identify the three main factors that are very much responsible and play very crucial roles throughout the entire process. At number one is the source, which is typically a device that plays the media files. Now, this can either be your smartphone or your computers running a streaming platform like Spotify, or it might be an offline music library that you have downloaded and stored separately. Next, we have the transfer rate, which is how much information is actually getting transferred from your source to you per second. This is often termed as the wireless bit rate, a term which is heavily used when identifying the Bluetooth audio codecs. And finally, we have the target, which is basically your wireless earbuds or headphones through which you're listening to your music. So now that we've identified these factors, our goal would be to try and optimize them so that we don't make any kind of compromise here and there that might create potential bottlenecks hindering the otherwise perfect audio experience. Alright, so let's start by optimizing our very first factor, aka the source. And this is my favorite because it is the cheapest and easiest one to optimize. And this is exactly what you need to do. You simply refrain yourselves from playing any kind of compressed audio formats like, for example, the MP3s, and switch over to complete lossless formats, which are often termed to as high-res audio. A good example would be FLAC files. The process is pretty straightforward if you have a local music library. So instead of downloading the MP3 files from your artists, just make sure you're downloading the high-resolution FLAC files, and as long as you're using a music player application that can play FLAC files, you should be good to go. The only thing I'd like to say here is that the FLAC files tend to be typically larger than your traditional MP3 files, around 5 or 6 times or so. So I would definitely urge you guys to keep an eye out on your storage, as I don't want you to run out of it. Alright, so now for the vast majority of us who like to stream their music online, our option is to switch over to a lossless music streaming service. But unfortunately, most of the services that are widely available like Spotify, YouTube Music or Amazon Prime Music do not offer lossless music streaming. So our options are just about limited to a handful of music streaming services like Apple Music, Tidal or Qobuz. And among these three, my recommendation to you is of course Apple Music. It has the cheapest subscription fee of around 99 rupees per month, and it also has a better music library that is regularly updated much frequently than the other two. Now, one thing that I'd like to say right here is that Apple has this weird limitation that doesn't let you stream lossless media on your iPads or iPhones unless you connect a wired headset using a DAC. But there is no such limitation in case of Android, so Android users can rejoice and maybe do this. Alright, so now that we have optimized our source of music and rather taken it to the next level, it's now time to optimize the rest of the factors, aka the transfer rate and the target. So let's talk about Bluetooth codecs. Now think about them as the guys who are responsible for splitting up your music or your media files into tiny packets of data that can be transmitted over Bluetooth to your TWS or your headphones. The more information you can send per second, the better is your audio quality. And so you'll often hear people referring to codecs like LHDC and LDAC to be high-res codecs, while aptX, SBC and AAC are often termed to as lossy codecs. Now, for those of you guys who are using the AirPods Pros or the AirPods Maxes, the only codec that you'll be restricted to is AAC. So it doesn't necessarily matter whether you're using spatial audio or say Dolby Atmos, you will not be able to enjoy that high-resolution lossless experience that Android users will be able to have. So Android users, you have a big advantage right here. If both your earbuds and your phones support LDAC or LHDC, just make sure to turn on that codec from your companion apps. And I can absolutely guarantee here that once you start streaming lossless media over these high-resolution codecs, it'll be a whole different experience and there's no going back. Now, what happens to earbuds that do not have high-res codecs? Or let's say in a scenario where your earbuds have a codec that is not supported by your phones. In that case also, I would urge you guys to stream lossless media, because when you're streaming high-resolution tracks, you're actually sending much more data from the source to your earbuds. So even if you are listening over codecs like SBC or AAC, you still have better music that is being served to you as opposed to playing lossy, compressed tracks in the first place. Alright, so now let's talk about the third and final factor, which is your target earphones or your headphones. Now, facts are definitely facts after all, and I don't think there's any point arguing here that among two different TWSs, one being priced slightly higher than the other, the higher priced one will obviously have a better sound quality. And that is mainly thanks to the fact that you'll get a much better tuned driver and a better quality driver in the higher priced one. Of course, there are some exceptions. But in most cases, I would say that when you're buying a certain TWS around a certain price range, be careful not to select the cheaper option always. It might turn out to be an absolute trash, whereas you could have got a better option by spending just a bit more money. Now, of course, I'm not asking you to buy expensive options like the Sennheiser Momentum 4. There are much better options available even at lower price points. Like take for example these guys right here, or even these bad boys right here who were featured on a video of mine recently. I can definitely guarantee that these TWS will serve you much better in the long run. And even then, if you think that it's just a bit too much for you, I would actually suggest you guys to take the wired route using budget IEMs. I have a whole playlist dedicated to IEMs across different price ranges that I reviewed last year. And you can definitely feel free to select any of the budget IEMs because I can guarantee that they'll sound way better than any of the budget TWSs. Take for example the KZ-ZEX, that is one such IEM that will definitely blow away any TWS around the 1000 price mark. And you can get my unit if you want for a ridiculously low price since I have it listed in my garage sale. So all you need to do is become a member of my channel and you might be able to find something that is personally owned by me at really affordable prices. Alright, so that's gonna do it for me and I'll see you guys in my next one.